Okay, today is April 19, 2015. It is kind of late, so hopefully everybody had a nice weekend and getting ready to resume trading tomorrow. Although on Friday it wasn't too pleasant for most people, but it shouldn't be much of a surprise though if we take a look at some of the price action prior to Friday. If you look at the S&P 500 here, we see that there is a little bit of a doji spinning top inside candle there. So it's kind of setting up something of an indecision. Either it's going to take it up or it's going to come down. And then with OpEx Friday, anything is possible. And also if you notice that there has been some increased interest on the put side on Thursday that people is basically betting on the market that's going down. And likewise here you see this little bit of a doji hammer candle, it's kind of a little bit of a, pullback. And so essentially right now we are pretty much back at these, testing these level right here, okay, at this 2063. And if I can't find support here, then we'll basically come back down and retest this level down here, the March pivot low. So all these previous levels that we are looking at is still in play. And for people who's talking about another possibility of 10% correction, and as I have been, we mentioned that to some of my followers many times in the past, is that if the market wanted a 10% correction, it would have done so for a long time ago. Okay, right now it ain't going to happen. Right? That's the way that I see it. It is not going to happen, and when it happens, it won't be 10%. Now, sure, it will, when that happens, the next time when it really going to get sell off and this market is rolling over, a lot of those people that is wishing and looking for that 10% will get the door slammed on them. The market will slam the door shut on them and trap them, okay, with that, and then be staring down at much more than 10% correction. Okay, so right now the market is still pretty much on a rising trend. They're still holding this trend line. They're holding these levels, and we're still looking for a possibility of a new high. Okay, sure, we could come down and test these and possibly get down to this 200-day moving average, and might even get down to here, before it bounces. But again, this market is very resilient, and there is no sign in the market breadth that this market is rolling over right now. Okay, so basically, we just kind of keep an eye on this thing, for next week. And possibly for this level to see, does it hold this 2063, 2064 level here to see, could we get a bounce back up? Because if it doesn't, then we probably could look at maybe the possibility to come back down and test these low level down here, these area here. So, but definitely, I don't think this market is going to come down too much. Because also the other thing is it's going to be a very busy week next week, and there's some big cap tech company reporting, and there's some big company reporting anyway. So it's going to move the market one way or the other. But I think there's a lot of discounting in terms of the strong dollar. Looking at a lot of these companies might be going to show a little bit of a weakness in the earning. So I wouldn't be looking at too much of a negative here, other than be a little bit more cautious, maybe not be too gung-ho about initiating a large position on the long side. But certainly I'd be looking for a possibility to for setup to re-enter if you have taking some profit from your swing long or your long position, to re-enter or even to add to your long position in the coming day if that occur. So for example, if it come down to these levels here and it present you with some setup, let's say come down here and present with you with some setup, that we could come down and pivot up at this level here and get up to the new high. And that would be a good, location to kind of look for possible, pivot point for setting up some kind of a long position. Because if we take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial, right, the Dow Jones Industrial again also do the same thing. You see this little doji, candle here, right? On Thursday, see, okay. And also the other thing is just to show you the weekly also. Might go back and show you that weekly on the SPY as well. You see this little candle here, this weekly candle, it is still coiling inside this weekly candle. So we're probably looking for this break depending which direction you're going to break. See, this right here is still staying above this low here. This low of this candle is essentially, 17,585, and this right here is 17,579. So right now it's still within this, engulfing candle here. And same thing if we go back and take a look at the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is also, coiling inside of this weekly candle. So I'm kind of looking for, depending which direction this candle, the price going to break on this candle. And right now I'm kind of leaning toward the high side rather than the low side. So that's the reason why I'm still a little bit, biased on the long side in this market here. Although I know a lot of people is looking forward to a pullback to get in on the short side, but I think that might be a little bit too premature to look at that, because we're still looking at this kind of, on a ascending triangle, and on a market that's trending up, the probability favor of breaking up rather than breaking down. Okay. So, and if we also take a look at the NASDAQ 100, see the NASDAQ 100 kind of gapped down. It's really kind of got weak. But again, you see this NR7 pretty much like an NR7, doji candle here, spinning top here. So again, we're essentially still looking for these pivot, right? These pivot low to kind of hold. Okay. So if it come down and test this level, then we'll probably, kind of keep an eye on a potential bounce off of this level. And if it doesn't bounce off at that level, then maybe we could, possibly get it down to these pivot low here. Okay, so again, we're still pretty much in this trend here. Okay, so you see that it's still hugging this rising trend line. Okay, so wouldn't be surprised that it's going to dip down and get a little bounce up. Okay, and then the Russell 2000 made an all-time high last week, and then close out with a little bit of a doji NR7, okay, and then it gapped down. But again, if you look at the trend, right, it's still pretty much on this trend upward here. And, although it's kind of breaking, broke down a little bit last Friday, kind of spooked a lot of people out, but we're still holding up at this level here. So we're still kind of looking for the small cap to, be in favor in this market here. If we look at the New York Composite, I'm glad that some other blogger or social media people start talking about the New York Composite, because that represents the entire market, in the New York Stock Exchange, not just 30 Dow or the 500 and the S&P. Okay, so you can see that a lot of people probably call this a little bit of an island gap, right? Okay, but that is true only if it holds, because I think this index probably will put in another new high, and it will fill this gap, and it won't be an island gap when that happens. Okay, so busy earning week coming up. So let's take a look at some of the stock, and I did put up a little table earlier to kind of get some projection of what the option market is pricing on some of those earning move for some of the stock that sort of catch my attention, or the some of the stock that I'd be keeping an eye on for general market direction, and some for possible of trade candidate and that sort of thing. So but a lot of them is still a little bit too early, but it's all based on what the option market is pricing in as of Friday. So as it get closer to the earning report date, then if it's too much of a change, then I update it. The key thing is to watch the percentage change. Okay, I don't think those will change too much, except for some very large increase in volatility. Then those percentage will increase quite a bit. But other than that, most of them, the option price probably will track along with that plus or minus percentage. So don't look at the dollar change amount. That might not be accurate, but look at the percentage change. That's usually that turn out to be fairly accurate. Fairly constant or until the earning come out. Okay. So, but if there's some changes that we require revision, then I will revise that table and post it up to you guys to see. and kind of get some idea. So the first one is Halliburton. You know, you can see that ever since that it put in this double bottom here, okay, and it kind of traced it out to this top, and then pull back. Right now, you know, it's kind of leaning to a little bit of a trend here, and book out of this baseline, fill this gap. Okay, so getting a little bit of a pullback, and if the earnings disappoint on Monday, because tomorrow I think it's going to report before the market open, and the market is pricing it at somewhere around 49 and 45. Okay, so basically it's this level of support here, or getting up to this pivot high here. So the market is pricing in a move within this area. Okay, so we'll see what happens, because right now it's kind of pulled back, and if we get down here and get a little bit of a doji hammer to get a little bounce, that might be a good opportunity to look for some sort of swing setup long here. You know, so basically get a pivot up here and then get up to this 141, or even get up to this 161 here and try to fill this gap here. Okay, then the other one is Morgan Stanley is also scheduled to report early in the morning before the market open, and you can see that it's been kind of trending nicely up here, you know, and been bouncing off this trend line, but fairly good here. And right now it's essentially got a little resistance here, got a little pop here on Wednesday, but wasn't able to hold it on Friday. It's kind of gapped down. You see this little bit of a hangman type of a candle here on Thursday, with Goldman reporting, and Goldman didn't really do too much, I believe. So that kind of put a little bit of a pressure on the financial, and then on Friday, just that, whatever reason it is, got the market sold off. So right now, the market is pricing it to move somewhere around 38 and 35. Okay, so essentially it is, up at this level here, and possibly, down at down at this particular level here. So it's moving based on this. Well, let me. So it's 38 and 35. So essentially that's the range the market is pricing in for the possible move on earning. So again, it seems to be holding at these level here. If it come down and get a little bit of a pullback and then shoot up, and that would be also a good setup for long, possible little bit of a swing long, and get it back up to the previous high here, right, up at the 39 level. And the one after the market close on Monday is IBM. IBM, I think they are expecting IBM to show a decline in earning and revenue again. So, but if you look at it, it seems to have held its bottom here, that's low up here, down here in made in January time frame or so, and it's been trying to break to this 165 level. Okay, you see when it broke through this 165 and tried to get back up, it just failed to do that, and it came down and make these too low. So now it's been trying to get back up on this 165, and the market is pricing this to be 167 and 154. So if we could break this and get up to that 167, essentially somewhere around here, so it'll probably get back up at this candle, maybe get into the gap fill here to that 169. But if it come down, then maybe it come down and retest these, this particular trend line here, because it is pricing at 154. So it's probably be down here somewhere, and maybe retest this particular low. Okay, but in terms of IBM, it's kind of might be a little bit too early to try to get in. But if it come down here, because I also have some Fibonacci retracement drawn here, and if we could get down and get a little bit of bounce around here on the 618 on this retracement zone, 618 and 50% point, that might be a possibility of getting it to swing up here to this 165. So if we could get down to maybe this 158 or so, then play a little bit of a swing to 165. That's a nice little quick swing long possibility. And if it happened to break that 165 and get into this this candle up here somewhere around 170, then hey, then just got a little bit of a move above that baseline, and then take a little profit and wait for it to pull back, and we test that baseline for another possible swing. If we could, kind of get up like this, maybe it will start making a, zigzag of a higher high, higher low. Okay, so that's IBM. Then on Tuesday we got Chipotle. Okay. So Chipotle is again, it's been trading on this little bit of a band here, and if we take a look at the weekly, the weekly kind of give you a little bit more clarity on this this flag. It could be a bear flag, or it could be just a consolidation band that it could take it back up to this high. But if we break below this level here, somewhere around 650, then we could be looking at this thing come back down to this 570 or so. So right now the market is pricing it in to be somewhere around, what's that, 733 on the upside, 634 on the downside. So 733 essentially coming back up to a new high here. Okay, so basically coming back to this pivot high, and the 634, and essentially it will be coming back down to test this low. So it appears that the market is factoring in a move in this range here. So that's a pretty big move. It is factoring a plus or minus 7%, and based on a Friday's number, that will be somewhere around plus or minus $49. So it is not for the weak of heart to play this stock. So unless you have a stomach to withstand that kind of volatility and these kind of move, I suggest you would just be a observer instead of a participant. Okay. But in any case, good luck to all of those that is trading to earning. Okay. And then the next one is Intuitive Surgical, and that is scheduled to report earning after the market close on Tuesday, and it is pricing in a 7% move, plus or minus 7%, and the upside is 577 and the low is 503. So basically 577 is essentially up at this 161 extension on this Fibonacci retracement here. Okay, and then the 503 on the downside is basically down here at this 382 level, somewhere around down here. Okay, so you can see that again, it's kind of booked to this level here, this 538, and kind of forming a little bit of a flag here, right? Because it is sort of just kind of consolidating here, right? Okay, so you could get a little bit of a flag here, and possibly get a little bit of a move up here. So let's kind of keep an eye on that. And then the other one scheduled to release on Tuesday after market close is Cree. This is a LED company, and it seems kind of interesting because if you look at it on a weekly, right, on the weekly you could see that there's a possibility that it might setting up a little bit of a cup and handle here. Okay, so and this could get that thing to move up, and the market is pricing it to move somewhere around plus or minus 10%. So even though it's a little bit lower price compared to Chipotle and the other one, so it's projected to move up to maybe about 38 or 39 level on the upside and 31, 32 on the downside. So essentially, if we go back to the daily, and here's the 32 somewhere around here. Okay, so essentially we're going to look at this 32 on the downside and somewhere around 38, 39 on the upside. So essentially get up to this level. So essentially the market is pricing in this this swing here. Okay, all right, so essentially it's more like this little bit of a handle. Okay. Then the next one is eBay, and eBay is scheduled to release on Wednesday. So even though it's kind of early to get a little bit of projection, but using the Friday's number is pricing in plus or minus 5%, and somewhere around on the upside 58, 59, or on the downside 53. So essentially it's placing it up here at this this level here. Okay, so it's looking at this these level. This range over here. Now you can see that the eBay has been kind of trending down a little bit here, but also it is also kind of holding up on this trend line, trying to make holding this support here above this low here last Friday, Okay, so we'll see what happened, because on the weekly, it's actually on the weekly, it doesn't look that bad. The chart on the weekly, if you can see that, it did come up and put in a high here, okay, right? Then it kind of pulled back, but it's still holding this particular trend line here. So it's all depends what happened on, on earning. If earning doesn't come due or get a little bit disappointed, then it might come down and maybe retest these level down here. Okay, so that's eBay. And then the next one is Qualcomm. I think Qualcomm is pretty much in the same position as SanDisk. It claimed that it lost, some customer or something like that, and I'm not sure that might also get impacted by Apple. Okay, so basically, Qualcomm is scheduled to report after the market close on Wednesday as well. Okay, so and you can see that if we take a look at the weekly, been kind of weak, right? Been trending down. And right now it's maybe it will come down and test this level 62.5, because the market is pricing in on the downside is 63, so essentially this level here, and then on the upside is 70, 71, so basically somewhere around here. So essentially the market is pricing in maybe between this trend line here and this particular support, this pivot low. Okay, but certainly doesn't look like a turnaround is imminent here on Qualcomm on a weekly or on the daily, because I think there's still possibly some lower prices for Qualcomm to at least testing these level and possibly get down to this level here. Okay, and even if it's on the upside, then you have to get above this particular resistance before it could try to get up here to make a higher high and try to reverse the trend. And the big one on Wednesday is Facebook. Okay, Facebook is pretty interesting right now, because it finally came down and sort of tried to retest these level here. Remember, we're talking about this 82 level. Okay, and then these pivot level here on this 81. So right now it seems to be holding this trend line here, and if it can bounce off of this trend line, we could be looking at somewhere around this 78, 79 area, okay, for possibility of retesting those levels. Because again, I essentially got a little bit of a retracement, on the Fibonacci retracement, and this looked like a, could be a possible H breakdown in the making. And if that's the case, then it could come down to maybe to this 141 level, which is somewhere around the 78, 79 area. And if that doesn't always got a little gap here that it could fill, then it could take it down to about this 77.5. But earnings going to come out on Wednesday, and it's projecting on the upside 86, on the downside 75. So 86 is basically come up and test this high, and the 75 is essentially coming back down, to these pivot level here, this pivot low down here. So those are the numbers that have to keep an eye on Facebook to see will it be able to get a little bit of a bounce, before earning right over here. Because what we'd like to see is maybe possibly come down here, put in a little bit of a hammer, and get a little bit of a bounce up here. So essentially we get a little bit of this type of a zigzag, and then take out this particular high on the earning report. So those are one possibility here. And as it get closer to earning, I probably will revise that. Most likely, that percentage probably going to change a little bit. So it's all depend, because right now the market is pricing in a plus or minus 7%. Okay, then on Thursdays, we're going to get some big cap. Also, Amazon is going to be reporting. Okay, and Amazon, here's the last earning gap here. It held that gap fairly nicely, and right now it seems to getting a little bounce up here. Although on Friday it kind of gapped down, and if we look at it, there's a possibility of this, symmetry move. And the market is pricing in a 404 on the upside and 346, 347 on the downside. Okay, so essentially it is on the downside is pretty much back down here on this gap, okay, the earning gap, and then the upside is pretty much on the 404, and that would be up here on the 382 extension on this symmetry move. Okay, so we'll see what happens. Right now it's still trying to work on breaking out above this 387, 388 level here. Okay, so and if we take a look at the weekly, because the weekly is also kind of interesting chart here, you can see that it could be making a little bit of a you could call this a inverted head and shoulder, although the shoulder is a little bit small. Or you could take this and look at this as a cup and handle pattern, and if this do play out, then most likely it will take out this high here, this 407. Okay, and then the other one on Thursday is Google. Okay, you can see Google, although doesn't look as bad as it might seem, but if we take a look at this, essentially. There's a little bit of a declining price channel here, coming down, and it is pricing in a plus or minus 4% move right now. So it's still kind of early. I think that might increase as it approaches earning on Thursday. And right now it's just kind of projecting a 556 on the upside and 509 on the downside. So 556 is not that much. Right? It's just barely underneath this 50-day moving average, and then the 509 is essentially just coming down to this little pivot here, so it's not a big deal. So I think there's probably going to be a little bit more volatility, implied volatility in there as the earning approach, okay, to bump that the price movement a little bit more, because right now it's only pricing in somewhere around $23, $24. So we'll see, because so right now it doesn't look good for Amazon. For Google here, because if we could see that if it break this level here, then it could have some more downside and possibly get down here, and which is also in confluence with the 200-day moving average. So, and the other one on Friday is Biogen. Okay, Biogen. If you look at the weekly, this engulfing candle here, kind of broke below that, and it's kind of sneaked back up right now on Friday. So the critical level that to keep an eye on Biogen is this 406. Okay, and if we go back to the daily, okay, so you can see that it all could potentially set up this H pattern breakdown, right, on a retracement of the 382. Okay, so that could take it down here and possibly get down and fill this gap here. Right now it's pricing in a plus or minus 6%. So the upside is 445 and the downside at 394. So it's basically somewhere around here, on the downside, and the 445 on the upside. So it's essentially getting back up to somewhere around this 50% point on this retracement. Okay, so those are basically some of the stock to watch for next week on earning. So let's get to our favorite stock, Apple. Okay, now remember on Apple, I've been talking about this engulfing candle for quite a while now, right? Okay, and it is still engulfing, coiling within this weekly candle, this engulfing candle here. So all these week, the 5 week already is basically trapped inside of this candle here, and the high of this candle is 129.57 and the low is 121.63, and essentially that's basically what I'm watching. Those are the level that I'm watching right now. Apple doesn't mean anything until it break one way or the other on these level, and maybe when the earning come out, it will take one of those level out. Okay, so even though a lot of people be looking at this moving average, the 50-day moving average breaking down and so forth, but in terms of the chart, it still look pretty good, right? Until it come down and break this, we test this pivot high here somewhere around this 119, and there's still that possibility of coming down and test that 119. Okay, and if it still could hold that 119, this chart is still good, right? So let's say if we put in a Fibonacci retracement here, okay, right, and on this pivot, this swing here, so it's 119 is 50% retracement. So even though if we get down here, let's say it come down and get over here and dip below this 15, this 50%, so we still could have a, swing up like this, and that could still be, give us the possibility of this thing going up to this 141, 145 level, okay, on the upside. So even though that, a lot of people be talking about breaking this 50-day moving average support, so forth and so forth, and also this trend line. But the key level here is this 119. And the first level that we need to look at is this 121 on this weekly candle. And if it could reverse itself and break about this 129.57, then I'd be looking at it to come up and tag this high and possibly take it out on earning and move up to this 141, 145. But until then, these are the two levels that I'll be watching. Anything in between, it's just kind of noise, right? It's just kind of chop. So unless you're day trading or intraday trading, that kind of stuff. If you're swing, those are two levels to keep an eye on. Okay. So, and then the next one is Twitter. Okay, Twitter also came down to a critical level, so, this 50 level here. We talk about this 50 level being a support, and you can see that we saw this thing bounce up, right? Remember we talked about this little flag here, okay, that it broke through the flag, and we were talking about this 47.72 here, this level to take out this level and then move up, and then to test this 50. And it broke this 50 and it came up, and we're basically looking for this thing to tag this 55, okay, tag this high here. And that probably won't happen until earnings come out. So so we probably have to wait until the following week, not this coming week, but the week following it. Okay, so so it might be chopping around here, right, to get a little bit of a setup here to swing up. Okay, because again, we'll basically be looking at a good setup would be, get a little hammer or something like that, kind of doji, and then come up, get a some green candle and then move it back up. So essentially take this little bit of a pullback and use this this retracement zone as a pivot point to take it back up to the next level, take out this 53 and come up and test this 55, 56 level here. Because you could look at, still, there's nothing wrong with this pattern or this chart pattern here right now, because if you look at this, still kind of holding this trend line, even though if it come down and get down to this 50% point, it's still holding at this, these pivot high here. Okay, the level that would be concerning would be if it come down and break below, this these pivot low here, and get into filling this gap. Okay, when it come down and fill this gap, then we have to be a little bit concerned that it might come back down and retest these level. But right now, it doesn't appear to to have that type of movement yet. So we just have to keep an eye on it. Anything is possible. Okay. Then the one that is really took a flyer off the the table is Netflix. Here's the earning gap, and it just popped up. Here's a little talk about getting authorization to increase their outstanding share and so forth and so forth. So potential stock split. Right? And right now we got this essentially a retracement, a symmetry move that could put up this take it higher to maybe possibly 579 area. Okay, so that might be one possible near-term target before we get a little bit of a pullback. And if we do get a little bit of a pullback, let's say it did get up to 579 and get this pullback, we'll probably get it down to maybe get into testing this gap here a little bit, get into the gap, maybe on the 514 or the 500 level, maybe get back to this level here, and we test that, then that might be a possibility of looking at that, maybe on some kind of quick trade. But of course, if it retraces that much, something is not right, right? So it's all depends how quickly it retraces. If we could get back down to this 514, maybe on a 618, so if we get this, let's say put up this Fibonacci retracement here. So right now you could see 590 is at 161, okay, and this 100% symmetry move is 579. So there's a little bit more room for it to go up, and if it come down, we'll be looking at something of this, maybe get down to this 514 on this retracement down to the 618. Okay, so yes, wouldn't be chasing this Netflix right now. If you're not in it, just it's interesting to watch, but nothing more than that. Because if you go chase this thing, then you might get trapped on a little bit of a pullback. Okay, so and then on Tesla, we see Tesla is still trying to hold this level here, although it broke this downtrend here, right? It broke this downtrend and it's trying to get away. Okay, so it still need to get up to this level to put in a maybe take out that pivot high here. But if we take a look at this Fibonacci retracement, so it is getting close to pulling back to this 618, and again, if we could get a nice bounce off this retracement zone, then we could get it up to this 141, somewhere around the 225 area, 225, 227 area up at this pivot level. Okay, but so kind of keep an eye on that, and with this breaking of this this trend line, it certainly kind of changed a little bit of a posture for Tesla in terms of the price action. But again, on the weekly, we still have to be a little bit cautious, because we are still kind of be down here on this little bit of a candle, so we'll see, could we break above this this pivot here, okay, and that's the 225, that 141 extension. Okay. And then BABA, what can we say about BABA? It's still kind of depressed, and it's still working on this downtrend here. Okay, unable to get back above this 87 level. You can see that it came down, made a low as 80, and kind of bounced around a couple times on this 87 level, and it happened to be this 38.2, or you could say it's a 618. Okay, and it just unable to get above that, because it need to get back above this 91, 92 area, and then possibly get into this fill in this gap here. Okay, so right now, although it is holding a higher low, but it might dip down and retest this low one more time, near this 80. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on Alibaba, to see how close it come down to this particular low here, this recent low. Would it actually tag it and put in a new low, or it come close and bounce off and found some buyer, maybe down at this level here, somewhere around the 81.25, or somewhere around here at the 80.65. Okay, so we'll just have to keep an eye on that, because right now that 50-day moving average is still declining. So might have to do a little bit more consolidating work here to kind of flatten out that moving average before it take a stab at getting above this 87.50 area, 87.04. Okay. So, and then the MBLY, okay, that's been kind of interesting stock here. It it kind of pull back after the IPO, post-IPO high. You see how much of a pullback, almost back to the IPO low. Then it got a snapback here after it broke this downtrend. Right? Okay, this downtrend here. Okay, once it broke this downtrend, it just went right up. Got a little bit of a pullback, and it seems like right now is want to get back up to that 52 level here. Okay, so if we take a look at the the daily price here, you see how nicely that it kind of come up to this resistance here and snap right back to that 618 and bounce off on that 618. So so right now it's although it got a little bit of a hammer or hangman candle here, but it's being engulfed by this candle here, so it's actually still working on an inside candle. So maybe it consolidate a couple more days here and then break above this candle, then we probably could see it to try to make its way up to possibly get back up to this 5280 level, near this 161 extension. So you just kind of keep an eye on that. But if it does come back down to this 45 level or something like that, and maybe possibly get down to fill this gap, then probably look at this this type of a pullback and see could we get some of a pivot point for for one to look at possible swing long setup down here in this zone here, to get it back up and swing it back up to that 141 or 168. I mean 1618. Okay, so that's MBLY, and then the other one is SWIR wireless. I was kind of looking at this. It's kind of interesting in a sense that it actually could go either way, because you got this little W here. Right? So if we break this W here, then we basically could see the possibility it might be coming back up and try to tag this 49. But if it break down on this level here, break below this 131, then we could get down and fill this gap here. This is more, essentially it's like a big, H pattern, right, or a trading band type of a breakdown. Right? So if you look at this, it just kind of defer type of a double H maybe, right? So it's just kind of, a little double hump. So it kind of get down to this 127 and essentially get into the filling this gap here. Then it can get down to somewhere around that 27 level. Okay, so that's kind of interesting, because even though if it come back down, right, if it pull back down to this zone here, that might also be a possibility of setting up some kind of a setup for a swing back up and take out this this baseline up here on this 39, and that essentially could set up a cup and handle, because right now it sort of looked like a inverted head and shoulder pattern, although this pivot low here, which is 3140, and this pivot low here is 3163, so this got a lower low than this one here, so it can't make this as a head. So maybe it will set up this inverted head and shoulder. This shoulder is kind of getting close to the head, and maybe this right here would do this. So then you could call this a inverted head and shoulder, or we just call this a cup and handle. Right? So those are the possibility on this one. That's why I kind of found it interesting, because it could go either way. So right now, just kind of watch to see how this pattern develop. Then the finally CYBR. This one is very interesting, and the way it's similar to, MBLY. Got a nice pullback. If we take a look at it on a weekly, right, you see this kind of came down, right, on this, post IPO high, pullback, right, and then kind of got snapped to that after it broke this trend line, snap up, right, and then kind of pull back down here. Right, and then now snapping up. So this is like a, let me go and get back on the daily here. And if you take a look at this snapback, if we do a Fibonacci retracement, you see how nicely it came down to this 382, right, 382, and then we got put in a little bit of a doji hammer here, right, a doji candle, and it kind of worked itself up to the 618, right? It consolidated in this band here, and so right now it finally broke through, and it could be working on this. Here is this a little bit of an inverted head and shoulder that it might be developing, right? So this is the inverted head and shoulder. So if it could break above this this pivot here, then it could come up at least retest this particular high at this 70.48. So, and also you look at the the trend line here, it's kind of hugging on this trend line, bouncing off this trend line nicely, right? So those are some of the interesting pattern for CYBR and also MBLY. So hopefully last Friday you didn't get damaged too badly, or hopefully maybe you made some money shorting some of this stuff that is going down. But in any case, good luck to everybody in the coming week, and enjoy the rest of the evening.